The four states' most watched news starts now.
It's been 22 years since a terrorist attack brought down the World Trade Center in New York City. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. People in the four states and across our nation are taking time to honor the memory of those who lost their lives because of that attack. Pittsburgh State University today held its annual Patriot Day remembrance at Carney Smith Stadium. Student cadets with the ROTC fired the cannon there 4 times. Once representing when the first World Trade Center tower was hit, then again when the second tower was hit, then 2 more times, marking when each tower fell. The cadets also took turns reading off the names of the 2,977 people killed that day, and 65 additional names of those who died from injuries and lung disease caused by the attacks.
All the people that died and their families, I think all the courageous people that went into those burning buildings to help get people out. And just that, that was an act of terror on our country.
The cadets also did a push-up for every name read. A church in Neodesha, Kansas today held a lunch to honor local first responders. St. Ignatius Catholic Church handed out barbecue to police, firefighters, doctors, and nurses. Organizers say it's important to honor the brave men and women who risked their lives to save ours.
It was something that we ought to honor these people and show them that we appreciate them being there. And, they're here in the good times, but we really need them in the bad times. And so I thought we ought to just honor and show a little bit of appreciation.
The Neodesha High School choir sang the national anthem at that event. Many Americans remember watching the events of 9/11 unfold, but newer generations have a different perspective. Traveling looked a lot different before 9/11. No long checkpoint lines, and you could bring a blade up to 4 inches on board a plane. Needless to say, Gen Z can't relate. Many Gen Zers we spoke with say they learned of the significance of 9/11 through their loved ones.
My mother knew it was a great tragedy, but she was really struck by it because of my dad, since my dad is, now he's retired from the military. Pretty sure he joined in 2003, served 2 tours in Afghanistan, 1 tour in Iraq, and 1 tour in Kuwait.
Tonight at 6, we're going to hear from more members of Gen Z on how they're reflecting on that tragic day. It's not just the 4 states honoring those lives lost. Jared Hill reports from near the annual commemoration at Ground Zero in New York City.
Mourners gathered in Lower Manhattan to remember the thousands of lives lost in the September 11th terror attacks 22 years ago today.
James M. Amato.
Joseph Amatuccio.
In keeping with tradition, family members read aloud the names of loved ones who were killed.
My sister, Jody Tepedino Nicolo. We miss you, Jody. We love you. Your light still shines as bright as it ever did.
At the Pentagon, an American flag was unfurled, and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin took part in a wreath laying to honor the nearly 200 lives lost there.
The men and women of the Department of Defense will always remember.
And in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, relatives left flowers at the memorial wall for victims of United Flight 93. The plane crashed when passengers tried to overtake the hijackers. Vice President Kamala Harris was among the dignitaries at the ceremony here in New York, while President Biden made his way back from a trip to Asia. The president marked the somber occasion at a military base in Alaska.
We never forget. We're never afraid. We endure. We overcome. We are the United States of America. And there is nothing, literally, historically, nothing has been beyond our capacity when we set our mind to it together.
Speaking to service members, first responders, and family members, the president reflected on how the attacks changed the nation forever. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
While this is the first time a president has commemorated September 11th in the western part of the U.S., it isn't the first time a president hasn't observed the occasion at one of the 3 attack sites. Both President George W. Bush and President Barack Obama participated in 9/11 events at the White House. Let's check in with meteorologist Sam Lane now for a first look at the weather.
All right, thank you very much, Dow. It's lots of moisture on the atmosphere that's headed in our direction. In fact, a lot of that moisture is being wrung out in the form of a large blob of rain that is now advancing in from the west into our western counties. That will be spreading across our area as we go through the evening hours, with temperatures dropping through the 70s into the 60s, with quite a bit of rain this evening with a low of around 60 degrees. One good thing about the rain is going to be washing out a lot of the allergies. Today it's 9, tomorrow will only be 3.9, most of that being ragweed, nettle, and chenopod. Looking down the lane, we're going to have the overnight rain tonight, then some Thursday showers, below normal temperatures pretty much all week long, but a pleasant weekend in store, and I'll tell you all about that in just a little while.
See you in a few. The death toll from an earthquake in Morocco Friday has surpassed 2,600. Thousands more people are injured, many of them in critical condition. Rescuers from several countries are scouring the rubble to find survivors of that 6.8 magnitude quake in and around the city of Marrakesh. The worst is in the scenic High Atlas Mountains, where rock slides have covered roads and blocked access by rescuers. It's the strongest earthquake to hit that country in 123 years. Still ahead, getting harder to buy a home.
Mortgage rates are at the highest levels in decades. I'm Bradley Blackburn with how it's costing home buyers more and keeping sellers locked in place.
And next in Health Watch, how a volunteer firefighter who survived the 9/11 attacks learned to get a handle on his PTSD from that day. Topping today's Health Watch, vaccines for the upcoming flu season are showing promise in fighting the illness. Early data from 5 South American countries during their 2023 flu season, which is during the summer in the United States, shows the vaccines reduced flu-related hospitalizations by 52%. While there's no guarantee what happens in the southern hemisphere will be replicated here, the CDC says the vaccines could provide similar protection in the U.S. A volunteer firefighter who survived the September 11th terror attacks is on a mission. He's trying to break the stigma surrounding mental health and PTSD, something he knows about all too well. Reporter Haley Ott shows us how he's finding comfort through man's best friend.
Rob Weisberg's service dog Chip is trained to recognize certain cues of post-traumatic stress disorder.
When he sees him, he comes over and gives me a whack with his paw. And basically he's saying to me, come on, let's go for a walk, let's change it up, let's just get you in a different mindset.
A volunteer firefighter who nearly lost his life during 9/11 while helping others, Weisberg has struggled with survivor's guilt and PTSD ever since.
I had my suicide planned out. I just had to do it.
According to federal research, roughly 1 in 3 first responders develops PTSD in the U.S., and first responders are nearly 10 times more likely to contemplate suicide than average Americans. Robert Masseri is the co-founder of Paws of War, the organization that trained Chip and other service dogs to work with first responders and veterans with PTSD.
We help them by placing a dog with them to understand the balance and what this animal could do for them. Right down to sleeping next to you, waking you up when you have night terrors.
Unless you have PTSD, you'll really never understand what it's like. And I tell people all the time, Paws of War provides a safe place for me to be me.
Through Paws of War, Weisberg connected with others who knew exactly what he was going through. Earlier this year, he hiked the Appalachian Trail to raise money for the organization and to raise awareness of PTSD.
Break the stigma, okay? Get people comfortable with the idea of saying, I'm having a problem, I'm going to get help.
Now, Weisberg is moving forward with new hope for the future and a friend by his side. Haley Ott, CBS News, Wisconsin, New York.
Weisberg says it took him more than 2 decades, but he's finally able to sleep through the night, and his message to others is to never give up. Hospital admissions for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, seem to be on the rise. A new study in the Canadian Medical Association journal found COPD hospitalizations have increased 69% during the last 20 years, especially in women and people under age 65. Researchers suggest environmental factors such as increased exposure to air pollution and wildfire smoke might be contributing to that increase. And a new study shows people who use CPAP machines to treat their snoring lower their risk of dying from cardiovascular disease by 36%. That's compared to snorers who stopped using the devices. Researchers in Spain also found CPAP might work better than a weight loss drug in reducing the buildup of plaques in the arteries around the heart. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, more than a decade after a Hostess nearly went bankrupt, the snack cake company has a new owner.
And we're watching radar as a big shield of rain is headed in our direction. I'll let you know what that means in our forecast, as well as the weekend when we come back. Well, we had a beautiful weekend across the area, lots of sunshine, pleasant temperatures, and low dew points. Now we have the clouds and the rain moving in, but we definitely need the rainfall as we are still stuck in a moderate and severe drought across the area. You can see the parking lot there in Seneca, Missouri, the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, just a little bit damp. And you can also see the rain back there in the background. That's going to be spreading across our area as we go through the evening hours. We made it up to 75 degrees after starting out at 64, which was, of course, way below the normals of 84 and 61. Records are 100. Thank goodness we're not seeing anything like that. 44 back in 1968. And look at the rainfall. 11 inches, 11 1/3 inches behind just this year. That's not counting last year, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Look at the radar. Lots of rain from Wichita down to Wellington, Ponca City, just west of Bartlesville. This is all moving towards the east, and so as we go through the evening hours, we're going to see the rain really dramatically increasing. Look at how bad the drought is in Sedan. Normally, if you go back to January 1 of 2022, they're supposed to have 70 inches by now. They've only had 47.9. That's a deficit of 23 inches of rainfall. In Independence, it's just as bad, 26 3/4 behind, all the way back to January 1 of 2022. And in Joplin, we're kind of heading in that same direction. We're already about 13, almost 14 inches behind where we were supposed to be over the last 2 years of rainfall. So we are definitely in a severe drought. Temperatures right now, though, are very pleasant. Upper 60s to the north, 70s elsewhere, 77 in Miami, Veneta, and in Grove, as well as Jay, ahead of that rain shield. Dew points are also increasing. You see they're generally in the 50s and 60s right now, and that's making it feel pretty good out there. Not too bad on the dew point tracker. Here's the rain chances, basically 100% this evening, and then dropping down into the lower percentages as we go through the day tomorrow as that system starts to shift away from us. But in its wake, we're going to have some cooler weather moving in from the north and west. And as that moves in, it's going to block this next system that's moving in on Thursday, and it's going to take a further south track. So hopefully we were expecting more precipitation, but it looks like we're going to miss most of it as most of the showers are going to be down in Oklahoma. Now tonight we're going to see quite a bit of rainfall, especially in northeastern Oklahoma. Some places could pick up over an inch or more, which is definitely welcome. Lighter amounts the further to the north you go. Here's a look at the forecast, breaking it down for you. Temperatures tonight in the 50s and 60s, 50s to the north, 60s to the south. The showers moving away during the morning, and then in the afternoon, partly cloudy with highs in the mid-70s. And then as we go into Wednesday morning, check out this. Lows in the 40s. Are you kidding me? 40s up to the north, 50s to the south, so a very cool morning. And then Wednesday afternoon, very pleasant with temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. And then Thursday morning, again, we could see a few isolated spots with lows in the 40s and 50s across the area. Over the next 7 days, slight chance of showers Thursday evening. And then as we head towards the weekend, look at that. Temperatures in the upper 70s, fall-like weather with lows in the 50s. Let's just keep that going, shall we?
100%. It's going to be a nice weekend to get outside.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Sam. Coming up, the latest stats on real estate sales and prices. Topping today's Consumer Watch, there's a new sheriff in town for Twinkie the Kid. J.M. Smucker announced today it's buying Hostess. The deal's worth $5.6 billion. Smucker is known primarily for its jellies, though it also owns brands like Jif Peanut Butter. Hostess is known for its cake products with whimsical names like Twinkies and Ding Dongs and Zingers and Ho-Hos. Sales a remarkable turnaround for the company after it nearly went belly up in 2012. Federal regulators are sounding the alarm about safety issues at Union Pacific. The Federal Railroad Administration said in a sharply worded letter that its inspectors found, quote, system-wide mechanical safety issues of Union Pacific freight cars and locomotives. Regulators say those issues are twice the national average, and the steps haven't been taken to make improvements. Instead, the company had recently furloughed nearly 150 employees. The U.S. real estate market exploded during the pandemic. The number of sales has since slowed down, but would-be buyers are still facing high prices. Reporter Bradley Blackburn tells us why.
Christine Egan is working with realtor Carol Christensen to buy a home, but it's been a frustrating search.
It's a time in your life where you're supposed to be, really excited and happy, but it really hasn't been that at all.
One reason, high loan rates are making it more expensive to purchase a home. The average interest on a 30-year mortgage is over 7%, close to a 2-decade high. At that rate, a monthly payment on a $400,000 loan would be about $1,000 more than 2 years ago when rates were under 3%. Egan is often being outbid by buyers who don't need a loan.
In 30 years that I'm doing this, I have never seen so many cash buyers.
Rates are higher, but so are home prices. That's because there are fewer houses on the market.
Sellers are thinking it's not worth looking for another home.
Tony Danzica heads an association of realtors. He says homeowners who locked into low mortgage rates years ago don't want to sell, just to buy something else at the current high rates.
So they're holding off. They're not putting their houses on the market. That's why we have low inventory across the country.
The low inventory is driving up prices, which have been on the rise for 5 straight months and are near a record high.
The pickings are slim, and it looks like now it's getting, less and less.
Egan plans to keep looking, but will only buy if she finds the right fit. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, Katona, New York.
Another factor driving the supply and demand imbalance, home builders aren't building quickly enough. Home builders pulled back after the last housing market crash and haven't ramped back up to pre-2007 levels. Americans have more money in their coffers than ever before. Household wealth is now $154.3 trillion. That's more than $2 trillion more than the previous record of $152 trillion set early last year. Most of that money has come from increasing stock and home values. Of course, you can take the number with a grain of salt because of inflation. $154.3 trillion has less actual value today than $152 trillion did last year. Final check of the forecast next. Topping today's Consumer Watch, there's a new sheriff in town for Twinkie the Kid. J.M. Smucker announced today it's buying Hostess. The deal's worth $5.6 billion. Smucker is known primarily for its jellies, though it also owns brands like Jif Peanut Butter. Hostess is known for its cake products with whimsical names like Twinkies and Ding Dongs and Zingers and Ho-Hos. Sales a remarkable turnaround for the company after it nearly went belly up in 2012. Federal regulators are sounding the alarm about safety issues at Union Pacific. The Federal Railroad Administration said in a sharply worded letter that its inspectors found, quote, system-wide mechanical safety issues of Union Pacific freight cars and locomotives. Regulators say those issues are twice the national average, and the steps haven't been taken to make improvements. Instead, the company had recently furloughed nearly 150 employees. The U.S. real estate market exploded during the pandemic. The number of sales has since slowed down, but would-be buyers are still facing high prices. Reporter Bradley Blackburn tells us why.
Christine Egan is working with realtor Carol Christensen to buy a home, but it's been a frustrating search.
It's a time in your life where you're supposed to be, really excited and happy, but it really hasn't been that at all.
One reason, high loan rates are making it more expensive to purchase a home. The average interest on a 30-year mortgage is over 7%, close to a 2-decade high. At that rate, a monthly payment on a $400,000 loan would be about $1,000 more than 2 years ago when rates were under 3%. Egan is often being outbid by buyers who don't need a loan.
In 30 years that I'm doing this, I have never seen so many cash buyers.
Rates are higher, but so are home prices. That's because there are fewer houses on the market.
Sellers are thinking it's not worth looking for another home.
Tony Danzica heads an association of realtors. He says homeowners who locked into low mortgage rates years ago don't want to sell just to buy something else at the current high rates.
So they're holding off. They're not putting their houses on the market. That's why we have low inventory across the country.
The low inventory is driving up prices, which have been on the rise for 5 straight months and are near a record high.
The pickings are slim, and it looks like now it's getting, less and less.
Egan plans to keep looking, but will only buy if she finds the right fit. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, Katona, New York.
Another factor driving the supply and demand imbalance, home builders aren't building quickly enough. Home builders pulled back after the last housing market crash and haven't ramped back up to pre-2007 levels. Americans have more money in their coffers than ever before. Household wealth is now $154.3 trillion. That's more than $2 trillion more than the previous record of $152 trillion set early last year. Most of that money has come from increasing stock and home values. Of course, you can take the number with a grain of salt because of inflation. $154.3 trillion has less actual value today than $152 trillion did last year. Final check of the forecast next.
On KOAM News is sponsored by Aaron Sachs and Associates, proud partner of Travis Kelsey and his foundation, 87 and running.
Toyota, let's go places.
Welcome to Casey's Country, where we start each day with pizza. People wave to their neighbors and eat pizza for breakfast.
Is that allowed?
It is here. Kids start their day like they've always wanted, with breakfast pizza. Where people mow their lawns and have, is that breakfast soda?
This is my breakfast!
So wake up in Casey's Country, where pizza is breakfast. Make pizza and soda your breakfast for just $4.
Ashley, this is home.
Jocknitch can help build your company's brand with corporate gear.
We offer in-house custom embroidery and screen printing.
Our in-house art department can create new custom designs.
Custom polos, quarter zips, hats, sweatshirts, jackets, backpacks, and tumblers.
Place your order now for holiday and corporate events. Quality, dependable, on-time delivery. Visit jocksnitchpromo.com or an area Jocksnitch store. Pittsburgh, Parsons, Iola.
Kansas Crossing Casino brings you the ultimate entertainment experience. From exciting casino action on over 500 slot machines and 14 table games to free live music weekly, there's something for everyone. Kansas Crossing Casino, your entertainment destination.
It's another beautiful day for baseball, Cardinal Nation.
That's right, Jack. It takes a team to bring it all together.
And these are the folks who come in early and stay late.
You know, Mercy's team has been at work too.
Oh, they sure have, Scotty, because there's always plenty of aching joints and sore muscles around here.
And their job is to keep all of us in the game.
Every day, Mercy Orthopedics is here for the St. Louis Cardinals and everyone who loves the game.
Pups and people, come to Bark in the Park this Saturday at Schlanger Park, Pittsburgh.
Toyota, let's go places.
Four State Heroes is brought to you in part by your Midwest Ford dealers.
We take this time now to honor a local veteran. Specialist Charles Berryhill served in the U.S. Army from 1969 to 1971. The Lamar, Missouri native was stationed in Germany and was part of the 3rd Armored Division. We are proud to salute Charles Berryhill, a four-state hero.
Up next on the CBS Evening News, we're going to meet 2 fighter pilots who were the first line of defense against another attack on 9/11/2001. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear more from some area Gen Zers about how they're reflecting on 9/11. Plus, authorities in Pittsburgh arrest a man on several felony warrants. And we're going to hear from the Missouri Southern Lions after they got their first win of this season. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. All right, look at this. More than 50 dogs showed their surfing skills at the Rancho Santa Fe, California beach yesterday. The canines and their owners took part in the 18th annual Helen Woodward Surf Dog Surfathon, raising funds for orphaned pets at the center. The best in surf winners were Sugar in first place, Delilah in second place, Guinness in third place. Some of those dogs trying to hang 20, I suppose. Looking pretty good out there. I think they're probably having fun.
And it looks like we're going to have some fun with this forecast.
Good.
We have some rain coming in tonight, which we desperately need, but then we're going to dry out Tuesday and Wednesday. Maybe some more showers on Thursday. But looking good for the weekend, especially for those Friday night football games and Saturday, of course, as well.
Yeah, feeling more like fall.
I think so.
Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here at 6. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.